Hello, August. How are you? It's Past Podcast. We'll be recording every day for the month of August. Having to remember not to say April is an adjustment since I just did this a couple of months ago. But this is the Past, or the Past Podcast. And we're podcasting each day in August. So check out the show. You might find something new. What is going on? New locale, been a while, but I'm back with my bro Dimitri doing the Past Podcast.
I'm back at it again.
Back at it again. It's been quite a journey. I know he's been wondering what's been taking me so long, and I know he's been working on his stuff, so it's been all for the best. And the truth is, we are definitely back at it again with a pretty hefty plethora queue of topics on hand today. It's interesting because we kind of went through everything kind of going the way it has, where one moment it's like, all right, we're recording at the library, and then it's like, all right, I ain't gonna have no shows because I gotta work on this and do that, so I'm throwing shows in for that. Before I continue, like I always share podcasts are being recorded and uploaded to Spreaker.com. You can access them on iTunes, Stitcher, podcast.com. All of those links, if you go to pastpodcast.com, those are available if you want to follow or keep up with any previous shows. Slowly get the Past Podcast page loaded up. I always like to say to Dimitri, I tell him every so often, we do it at the beginning or at the end. I always say thanks, appreciate everything. I got some in the works, just gotta give me some time, but it's gonna be an on air gift that I have. I just gotta do some research first. But so we sat and we were able to, because normally we'll kind of get together and we'll talk about stories a little bit here and there, but today it's decent because it's like a new locale. He's kind of invited me into his humble abode to work on the show and kind of just let it flow. It'll be more relaxing and not as worried about random background noises like we had that one episode where we had to kind of pause the mic multiple times.
The call-ins.
Yeah. The announcements of the awards. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, like I said, we got a huge amount of topics. Now, I will say this in advance before we continue. A lot of the tabs that we have, I mentioned it to him and I mentioned it to y'all. Y'all know I like to be transparent in recording. They are literally placeholders. And they're just kind of something to kind of give you an idea of what you can kind of research and look up at your own time or leisure regarding these stories. So we're not going to waste too much time since we kind of have, not intentionally, but we do have a definite huge story as a start off for this week's show. Neymar has been the talk of the Spanish town. I won't say talk of the town because, America, we just got onto the soccer scene. We just realized soccer existed a couple of years ago when the women's soccer team kind of had their show out. Mm-hmm. So coming up to now, last Saturday, the Barcelona team played against Real Madrid in what they call the El Clasico. It's a normal tournament they have every year. It's a match that always occurs between Barcelona and Real Madrid. During that match, the first big story was Ronaldo didn't play.
Yes.
He was out due to working on his legal troubles and legal issues with tax and I think it was with tax evasion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you gotta pay your taxes.
Yeah, you gotta pay what you owe. So Neymar was the second big story, and I know that's kind of an odd way of saying it because Neymar's story you would think would be the first, and I'll explain why in a moment. But he's actually he actually did sign with PSG or with Paris Saint-Germain. Anyone who may or may not know, PSG is a big team because at one time they had Zlatan. Zlatan was with them for quite a few years, and he left went to Man U. He was released by Man U, still in limbo as to where he's going to go next. But Neymar got paid.
That's an understatement. Yes, he definitely got paid. He definitely deserved it as well too. Like what he's done since joining Barcelona in 2013.
Yeah.
I believe they said fifth highest or sixth highest in scored goals. He had 68 goals since 2013.
Right.
In that same period, he had the fifth most direct assists with 38. Behind a lot of other great players like Messi, Ronaldo, Suarez. So he's definitely done great things. And they said the reason why he wanted to leave was because he wanted to get out the shadows of Messi. You could say not the shadows, but he didn't want to take over his like spotlight.
Right.
It's like out of respect. He's saying.
Yeah.
What do you think to that?
So, I'm glad you said that because I feel like this is kind of one of those reality things that you have to accept. Messi, when you think of Barcelona, you think of Lionel Messi.
No, definitely.
Like, there's no taking away from that at all.
Like, I'm not a big soccer fan, and I definitely think of Messi when I think Barcelona.
Yeah, so when you look at that factor, if you go back a couple of years ago, Suarez wasn't there.
Yep.
Neymar had kind of been in the scene. They had other guys. I can't name everyone.
He was still young too, because he's only 25 now.
Exactly. So to be in that queue of folks playing, to kind of get that I got to stand out moment, it's a challenging task because you're behind. Like literally, when you think of Messi, every FIFA and this is probably going far left field away from the sports side of it, from the gaming culture. Anytime you look at a FIFA cover, Messi was the cover guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, Ronaldo. I think he. I believe we talked about it a couple of episodes ago. Ronaldo, got his shot where he's a cover athlete now for them, and that's props to him for that. But Messi was the guy. Like Messi has been, and even it's interesting because even though in soccer, and you may or may not know this, soccer players are viewed in two identities. Like okay, you know I'm going with this. So I'll explain this to everyone who's listening so you'll understand. Like for instance, with me as a person, there's people who know me as just an everyday BT, Brian, whatever. And then there's people who know me as Brian, the podcaster who sits and talks about different things or whatever. When it comes to soccer players, Lionel Messi is, prime example of Messi is he's known for his team as far as like league, which is Barcelona. And then he's known for his international team, which is I should know this. Argentina, thank you. Like, see, that's where, I needed this because I'm always the one that's forgetting. So, but yeah, like without, it's mainly like his Argentina flow or his Argentina stats have not been exceptional. So it's been that challenge, and I know this is like, well, why are we talking about all this? And you got Neymar as the main story. Neymar for Brazil.
52 goals in 77 games.
Exactly. Like before Neymar was the big name, there was another player who I kept up with. When I got big in soccer, but I really didn't watch it a lot, but I was knowing about it. Ronaldinho. He's in Brazil. He's playing now like in a Brazilian league, like a lower league, but Ronaldinho in his prime literally was like the Messi of that era, in that phase. And coincidentally enough, Ronaldinho played for Barcelona. So it's like Barcelona is that top tier team that you really want to be a part of. Like that's the reason why it's such a big thing now with Neymar being a part of the team. But now Neymar wants to kind of make his own identity.
How would you compare the leagues going from Barcelona in the league that they're in versus PSG in the league that they're in?
PSG is somewhat of a lower league, but it's a competitive league. If that's a simple way to put it.
Just because Barcelona's in one of the top leagues, correct?
Right. Barcelona, like their league, because if I'm not mistaken, they're in La Liga.
Yes.
And PSG now, I'm trying to remember because every time I get their information, I get them thrown off. Give me a moment. We're gonna do between us doing some research. We'll figure it out. PSG league. They have a very unique league, if I'm not mistaken. They are parts of.
Champions League?
No, not
UEFA Champions League or no?
That's UEFA League. So UEFA Champions is one of the awards that you can go for. They're part of League A1, okay. which is a huge league. I mean, you have a lot of teams in that league. I'm gonna throw some names out there so a lot of you may be aware. Normally I have these already prepared. Give us some time. So yeah, PSG, Rennes, Saint Etienne, Toulouse, Bordeaux, Angers, Bastia. Like all of these teams are in this league, or they've been in the league for a while, and they still are. It's a huge league that you kind of can get that chance to like make your mark. Because with most teams now, this is the sidebar of it. Players want to get into like different leagues, or if you want to get into La Liga, that's all well and good. But the huge league that most people try to get into is Premier League, with the English Premier League. Because if you get there, you're gonna get your mark as to where you're going next. Like you kind of can make your control your mark. So I mean, with Neymar is doing this now to establish himself. And just like you said earlier, he's young, so he has time to like build and grow, and then he still has his credibility for his international team. So,
and what he's doing now actually it's a kind of similar move of what somebody else is trying to do right now. However, in the NBA, it's a little bit similar to what he's trying to do. Yeah. Neymar's, but how much they spent for like the transfer fee to get him over?
Yes.
It's more than double the highest one before.
Right.
Which is Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
For $89 million.
Yep.
And his is $220 million. So.
220, yeah, because they had to really work some numbers in to get the request completed, because it's not an easy, okay, you're gonna leave here, we're gonna send you here, and that's it. It's like it's a legit process on trying to get players through that channel, through that stage. Because the deal almost fell through. That's why they wanted to. I think that's why it was kind of prolonged for a while. But luckily they were able to go ahead and get that taken care of. So shout outs to him going to PSG. He's gonna definitely have his chance to shine, because there's really not many other big names on. I mean, you have guys on PSG, like they had David Luiz a couple of years ago. He's with Chelsea now, so he may go there, play for a couple, play for through his contract, and then see where his next mark goes. So shouts to him for that. We are going to go retro, because this is I call this the retro current story, because it's I'll be the first to admit it, and I guess I can come clean in saying it now. When I first was tracking and keeping an eye on these games, I really did not know what I was going to expect with the big three. The reason why is because these guys are older. It's when a lot of them were in their prime in the 90s. Yes. Because I mean, I look at, like, I ain't gonna lie, no, like, all jokes aside, Coutinho Mobley can ball still at his age. Like Kendall Gill went out there, he's in his 40s. I didn't even, that really took me to like the heyday of Charlotte when he was there. So they've played pretty good. Iverson, so big three story. Yeah, you know where I'm about to go with this, because you as soon as I said Iverson, you just bust out laughing. So he is the player coach for Three's Company. Currently they're 2-4. We're gonna kind of do a backtrack a little bit, and then we'll bring it to now and make the relevance of this. When the season first started, the huge hype was Iverson's gonna be playing. We're gonna see him back in uniform. He would get out on the court, maybe play a couple series, and you didn't see him much. When they got to Philadelphia, the anticipation was very high, because it's not your personal hometown, because he's from Virginia, but this is your like home team that you played for. And I mean, this was when you were defined, which not many players get that name, as pound for pound one of the best guards in that era, in that heyday.
One of the best players, pound for pound.
Yeah, like he literally did not care. Like, I mean, height wise, we talked about this with the Durant story. Iverson's 5'11". Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just because they always say 6 foot, 6 foot. No, he's 5'11". He's not like he literally but he didn't. It didn't stop him from playing his game. Like he would go at whoever he can't. Obviously he went at Jordan. Him and Kobe had their battles, especially Kobe being from Pennsylvania, so that wasn't a coincidence. But Iverson was supposed to, he would. I think he didn't. He attended, but he didn't play.
He didn't play that game.
Right. So there was,
but he did show up.
He showed up, unlike his latest occurrence, which was week 6 of the league. He was a no-show. And there was a lot of concern and questions as to why he did not attend or why he was not there. And it drew a huge concern with the owner and the GM of the league. Well, not the GM, but with LL. Because LL, I believe, is the side guy with it, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but I know, of course, Ice Cube is the main head honcho of the show.
And he got suspended, I believe, as well too.
Yeah, he did, for
not showing up, and it's a no call, no show.
Right. So I mean, it's huge, but it's interesting. Like, so I have the links that I have in the group that I have for everyone on this is the current remainder of the schedule, which we're kind of getting down to the wire because they just finished week 6, and I believe there are 2 more. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 2 more games. 2 more weeks of games for the matchups. Week 7, this coming tomorrow's games. I'm loving those. You know why, right?
Why?
They're playing in Rupp Arena.
Oh, they are.
Mm-hmm.
that's
it. I like the environment of this because they're going to the big stages. Definitely. And getting players like that exposure. So I have no problem with that.
And then they go to Los Angeles, and then they go to Seattle, which is a very big basketball town as well too.
Yeah.
And then finish it out at Las Vegas. So they actually have 4 more weeks.
Yeah, 4 more weeks remaining of the with the tournament, with the playoffs, and then the championship. So right now, as of record wise, Trilogy is a force to be reckoned with. If I'm remembering correctly, because I need to look at the. Oh, okay, I do. I know offhand. The Three-Headed Monsters team is pretty good because they have you have Rashard Lewis, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who I define, or a lot of people define as the retro Colin Kaepernick, and we'll talk about him later because I've tried to dodge the story, but then I've realized it's no need dodging the obvious because it's reality. But their team is pretty stacked as far as how they've played. Let me get their roster really, really, really quick.
Are you talking about the Three-Headed Monsters?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Rashard Lewis is actually leading the league with 22.5 points a game.
Balling.
Yes.
Now, right now I will give them credit for this. If there are players who you do or don't see, like a player maybe injured or something happened, like Jason Williams got injured early, like week 1, they were able to kind of have like another player come in and say, all right, we'll have you on the team to replace, Jason Williams. And I believe now, so the Three-Headed Monsters current roster is Rashard Lewis, Kwame Brown, Eddie Bazin, who played ball back in the day a while back, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Kareem Rush, and Hakeem Warwick. I didn't even realize they had him. And their coach is Gary Payton. Gary Payton's not putting on a uniform. You already know. He's there literally to coach and to run the team. Now, this is side note, so this is new information for me, and I'm going to share this with you all. With the site, so the site that I have, if you go to different links, it'll take you to a page where you actually can buy merchandise for these teams. So that's pretty awesome. The top team, of course, is Trilogy. I was sitting here because I'm sitting here like Kenyon Martin's on one of these teams, and then I was like, oh, he's on Trilogy. So Trilogy has a pretty dominant squad. They have Kenyon Martin, Al Harrington, the number 1 pick, Rashad McCants, James White, Deion Glover, and Gennaro Pargo. And their coach is Rick Mahorn. Rick Mahorn has been very quiet, shockingly enough, during this run, but their team is pretty good. The Killer Threes, great story. I'm going to go into this, and I'm random story. So I'll go over their lineup, and then I'll give the story. So there's Chauncey Billups, who initially wasn't going to be playing due to the Cleveland situation, and then that got annulled, or that just didn't last long. Steven Jackson, Reggie Evans, Mo Evans,
who got hurt,
yeah. Eddie Robinson, Brian Cook, and their coach is Charles Oakley. And they have him listed as player coach, but I haven't seen him play. What's interesting with this team, I don't know if you may or may not notice. Well, actually, all right, so I'll make this a two-part story since we're talking about Oakley. Yeah, you know I'm about to go with that too. Oakley and Steven Jackson have the true definition of a player-coach love-hate relationship. There was a game that they played where you can tell Steven Jackson respects Oakley, but it's almost as though Oakley's really trying to get him to play to his max potential. So you see them literally jawing at each other, and it's unfiltered to the point. I'll go back and listen to the podcast, and I'll say it so I'll remember. There was a point where they have the excerpt from them talking, and you just can hear them they were jawing, just going, and I'm just like, this is what you call competitive basketball. This is what you call like putting it all out there. So that was a huge deal. Charles Oakley story, I'm gonna let you have this one if you remember it. If you don't, if you need to get the story, that's fine.
Charles Oakley set up for when. So you can go ahead and take that one away.
Okay.
When Charles Oakley and him.
Yeah. So
him dismissed.
So he's So Charles Oakley. So currently Charles Oakley, if we're on, I'm making sure we're on the same page with this. Charles Oakley is now able to be. He's kind of having his freedom allowed with MSG, where he can now go back to Madison Square Garden.
They took off the 1-year ban.
That's what it sounded like. Let me make sure that I'm not giving the wrong information, because I do know that it was a huge story involving this. Yeah. So what? Well, I'm sorry. Let me rewind. I'm in the wrong queue. You're right. Charles Oakley was able to accept the deal to go ahead and dismiss the misdemeanor charges, because there were charges involved in misdemeanor with. He was going to take civil action against James Dolan. He was arrested. As you all remember, we talked about it back in February. He was arrested, or either February or March, where he was arrested and charged with counts of assault, misdemeanor count of aggravated harassment, and they considered it trespassing. He was also cited for harassment that was considered non-criminal. They dropped the charges if he stays out of trouble for 6 months and complies with a condition that prohibits him from trespassing at the Garden for a year. He didn't say anything about the trespassing condition, but he said in court that he had no plans of going to MSG. So he's kind of making it clear, and it's an ironic situation because, the women's team play there. We'll talk about them later, but the women's team plays there, so it's like you're not going to go to any women's games either. Is that like? I know this season is kind of shortened, but
that's correct. Yeah.
You can tell like it's a true. He evidently has made it clear that he does not like the. He's not a fan of James Dolan whatsoever. No. So I know I'm hitting, like I said, the teams as of right now, they're in their last couple of games for Big Three. If I were to take a team right now, unless Trilogy had some heinous, scary thing happen, they should be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
I really don't see anybody stopping them. The only team that can give them a challenge might be the Three-Headed Monsters.
Yeah, I'll tell you it's one of those two. They're 1-6-0, the other's 5-1. So
right.
You'd have to definitely go with one of those two.
Yeah, and then my wild card, I didn't even know he was playing. Wait a minute, this is new news. I forgot. Ghost Ballers might be my wild card. They have Mike Bibby, Ricky Davis, Joe Smith, Marcus Banks, Ivan Johnson, and Larry Hughes, with George Gervin as the coach. That would probably be my wild card pick. And like I said, we'll see how the tournament, how the playoffs, or how the next couple of games pan out for them. We'll come back. We may bring it back in as another story next week. As you all are seeing, or as you all will notice, I'm resting basketball, which is hard for me because y'all know I'm the basketball guy. But we are in the midst of football season. So before we go into the preseason flow, we're going to talk about the target, the story that is the trend of all trends with the NFL. And that is Colin Kaepernick's next destination, if he will be playing football. A couple of months, the story was he wasn't looking to play football. He was going to just kind of rest out, relax, take a break off, chill, whatever. Joe Flacco got hurt, was going to be out. He'll be out until week 1. I think he's going to miss week 1 of regular season, I think. I'm not sure. But they had him out for a while where they were kind of going through their depth chart and trying to figure out how things would pan out. And, of course, when he went down, it was, okay, well, this is a good chance for Colin Kaepernick to come in. And I like this story because of the fact that Sean Harbaugh coaches Baltimore.
Yes.
His brother coached him formerly in San Francisco.
Gave him good reviews.
Right. So that just should work out where it's like, all right, bring them on in. Baltimore has their delays on it. They ended up bringing in an arena football quarterback as a backup.
So the coach wanted, he was talking about how he wanted Colin Kaepernick to come in, as well as the GM wanted him to come in as well too. And there's a report that it's the owner who really didn't want him to come in, or he said how he was going to go ahead and test the fan base and see how things go, because I guess they don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these teams are taking it, because they don't want to rock the boat with him. I remember we talked about this maybe a couple months ago, actually. Mm-hmm. We said if he was being blacklisted.
Yes.
I believe we came to the conclusion we wanted to give it more time to see if maybe...
Which we did. We gave it quite a bit of time, and we're back at this again, literally.
Definitely, and I would say, because generally they're saying that it's just because because you can't say it's just because of the protests, because if that's more serious than raping somebody, beating a woman or something of that nature, or you know what I mean, just different things that other people in the league have done. Yeah, and you're gonna say that's more important than that's more severe than what they've done towards your image. Right. I would say that's blasphemous. However, they're saying it's because how he's played. However, if you look at his past and how he played the 2 years when they made it to the Super Bowl and they made it to the NFC Championship game, his stats are kind of comparable to his last season's stats. Yeah. It's just that the team around him wasn't as good as well too. Mm-hmm. He threw 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Right. It's a good touchdown to interception ratio.
Compared to most quarterbacks that are starting quarterbacks for other teams in the NFL, yes, I agree.
He had a higher completion ratio than Cam Newton, as well as Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah. And he was 17th in the league in passer rating as well too. So it's not like I'm not saying he's a good I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. I'm saying he's a decent quarterback, and he's better than at least 5 quarterbacks. 6. He could start in a couple places if they actually brought him in.
Yep, I don't have any disagreement of any of that. So we've been off for a couple of weeks as far as collabo, and stories have hit that have kind of generated into this that I'll go into, because I noticed that we don't want to talk about it, but it's in existence, so you can't hide from it, and this is no exception. First and foremost, Kaepernick already there was the interview that Michael Vick did that was really a stage setting of, well, if he needs to change his image, he needs to cut his hair, he needs to do this, and it's and
then he apologized for it afterwards,
right? Because when you on a major show like either Fox or ESPN or any major show, and you say something like that, the internet is undefeated. They are going to let you know how they feel, because they literally will say, well, you remember what you did,
and what's he saying sorry for as well too?
Right. I mean, I feel like this. I think Vic remembered, but Vic kind of doesn't remember. When you were the face of Atlanta, you did you, and it's whatever. It's understandable, and it is what it is. Now Kaepernick comes in, and it's and this is why I made the reference about Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Rauf did a similar situation back in the 90s, and here it is now. He's playing basketball. That ain't even they're not even mentioning or addressing that whole situation, because it was it came and went. If he was if Rauf Rauf was at a game and they did the national anthem or whatever, I guarantee you they not making no type of story about that because it's like it's acceptable. It's like it's not a big deal. The Kaepernick comes along because he brought attention, and I'm gonna say what a lot of people are scared to say, and I've said this off and on occasionally about this situation. Kaepernick has become bigger than the league, and it scares them.
Yeah, because they want you to, the shield comes first.
Exactly. So when it's shield based, like I think I've had this conversation with you, and I have this conversation with people all the time, and I always bring this up as a topic on the podcast. The NBA logo is one person. So when you think of players when you think of the NBA, yeah, you hear people talk about their Cavs fans, Lakers fans, Warriors fans, bandwagon fans, whatever. But most people are like, I'm a LeBron fan, I'm a Durant fan, I'm a Kobe fan, I'm a Jordan fan. When it comes to the NFL, yeah, you have people who are like, I'm a Cam Newton supporter, or I support my quarterback, or things of that nature. You don't hear like Dallas. When you hear fans who are Dallas fans, they are Dallas fans because they like Dallas, bottom line. And it's not going to take away from, like, Ezekiel Elliott and did what he's done. Like, we didn't bring that up this week, which I'm feeling bad about. But, Ezekiel had his stuff going on, but it's like, okay, it happened, but I'm still a Dallas fan. Like, I'm supporting Dallas. So with Kaepernick becoming Kaepernick, like, Kaepernick literally became his own brand within the game of football. And then, if you, like I said, when you look at the shield shows the stars. So it's the stars and it's the team.
NFL.
Yeah.
And he probably became more famous after doing this than after making it to the Super Bowl and making it very far as well, too. Another point, too, saying, like, the better you are as well, too, the more they'll put up with as well.
Yes.
Like Lucky Whitehead, who plays for Dallas as well, too. It was about a week ago or 2 weeks ago when he was accused of, like, shoplifting or something of that nature.
Right.
Dallas cut him that night, and then they found out the next day or 2 days later that it wasn't even him. It was just a false report or something of that nature. Somebody false identifying him. Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's wrong, and it's always that wrong place, wrong time, or accountability. Things not being put into place when that happens.
And then Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett as well, like, they put their 2 cents in on this topic as well too. Seahawks always want to talk about it. You had sent one of those links when they they both kind of said what I had said earlier. Bennett said how there are people who are accused of rapists, drunk drivers in the league,
right?
But they seem to care, like, about this person. Sherman said, now if you told me this guy threw 8 pick sixes last year and played like a bum and had no talent, that's one thing. However, as I said before, he had 16 touchdowns to 4
He had a good season. I mean, because technically speaking, if I'm recalling correctly, he was a backup, and then when he did get his got the green light to start, the start challenge last year was injuries, and I think that's what is not being factored in now, because it's like he's healthy. So now, if you're not picking him or you're not wanting him on the team, you don't want him on the team because he's going to be a media challenge. And I think that's what help me out.
The Ravens.
That's what the Ravens are worried about, and the Jets are worried about. And now the current team is Miami, because Tannehill is out for the season.
That's true.
So they're trying to figure out how to work that in. The first person go ahead. No, I want you to say it. No pass.
As I said, they're talking about getting Jay Cutler back.
Exactly.
And Jay Cutler is a straight bum.
Right. Like, Jay Cutler literally knew to walk away.
Like, you don't bring him in the situation to fix things. He's the one who you have to bring someone into so they can fix things.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one who messed things up.
So
I don't see how you want to bring him in and not even give a call to Kaepernick.
You don't even want to, like, you can call Kaepernick's people and ask, hey, like, is he still up for trying to play? Like,
and people who are saying that he wants starter money and things of that nature, there've been, like, has he said anything about that?
He's actually wanting to just be able to play. But see, that then ties into the other challenge. He goes to a team. His jersey comes out. His jersey sales will go through the roof for whatever team he goes to.
So that's profit for the team as well.
Exactly. Too. But see, no one, that's what that business side is missed, and that part is marked. So I'm going to ask this question, and we talked about this off air, and I'll bring it up now. Well, I know your answer, so I'm going to ask that question, and then I'll ask the other part of the question. Do you think boycotting or not supporting the NFL is the right decision?
I don't think enough people would do it.
Okay.
It'd have to be a lot of people, because a lot of people watch the NFL because it's only 16 games, so it's, supply versus demand. Mm-hmm. Would I do it just because they didn't put Kaepernick in?
Yeah.
I'd probably still watch my team play.
Right. You look at and you're looking at it how I am. It's like it's tough to not profit the NFL as a whole because you can't
it's different than the NBA.
Exactly.
Like if LeBron didn't play in a game, or if Steph Curry, Durant didn't play in a game, James Harden didn't play in a game, there's a different effect than if one. Quarterback's different because quarterback is definitely a big part of a team.
Yeah.
However, if you look at the Patriots back in 2011 when Matt Castle came in for Tom Brady, still got 11 wins.
Yeah.
It's still possible if you have the right system.
Right. But that was an interesting year because I don't have stats to prove it, but I have a feeling that year when Brady got hurt, I guarantee you ratings got hit.
Okay.
I feel like ratings got hit strictly because you have to. Okay, and I emphasize this so much with New England. New England is gonna give you at least 6 wins because they're getting 6 out of their division. Plain and simple. If they walk away 5-1 or 4-2,
it's a bad year.
It's a bad year. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, and you think Brady just turned 40, so you know what I'm saying? Like you got Brady out here doing work at 40, and here you are Kaepernick, early 20s, mid 20s, trying to make a mark, and no one's really wanting to touch him because they don't know. I truly think what is intimidating people the most is the media's attention,
as well as they say because a lot of people who own teams as well too, they're kind of all in the same circle. You could say because they all have a lot of money as well too.
Right.
A lot of them know. Cause they were talking about this. I saw something about this where they were talking about Donald Trump had something to say, I guess, because he knows some of the owners, because he has money. He was a businessman. These owners are all businessmen.
And he was trying to go for the Bills at one time.
Their football teams aren't generally like their sports teams that they own generally aren't their business. That's not where they make their revenue.
Right. That's
just something they like to do like as a hobbyist for fun and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like they said that he also has something to do because you know what I mean, because it's America, it's the anthem and thing of that nature. So like when you kind of disrespect that.
Then it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah, that's how they feel.
Gotcha.
Do you think he will play again or get signed?
Yeah, I feel like he will
this year. He'll play this season.
Will he play this season?
Yes.
Ooh, I think he'll play this season. I really feel like there's a team willing to take that chance. I don't feel like you're taking. Let me rewind. I don't feel like you're taking a major chance or a major risk on him. It's not like you're getting some washed up quarterback. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, I
can see him going to the Steelers.
Yeah, like I can see, and I mean you factor in Roethlisberger got a year or two left, about a year because he was talking about retirement.
Or if he gets hurt for a couple games, or
right,
something of that nature.
You mean you have a chance for him to be able to? Like I said, I feel as though there's a team that could use him.
Because it has to be a team that is willing to take chances and doesn't really. Buy into all that.
Sorry, I'm a biased fan. If Cam went down, I'm calling. Hey, y'all need to get just. I'm sorry. I understand y'all don't with the media scrutiny in this North Carolina. Y'all got to bring Kaepernick in, give him a chance. Like it's all about giving a player a chance, and I think that's what's being missed, and that's why I think I'm having like this. I think that's what's caused this to be a trigger topic for me because it's not like okay. I'll say this, and this will be my petty podcast statement. If I'm picking a team, and I have Romo, Cutler, and Kaepernick standing in front of me, there's no reason and no logic as to why I would not. I have everything that's showing Kaepernick would be my guy to go to. Because Cutler, we've talked about, like you mentioned earlier, he's bummed. He's washed up. And Romo is a regular season quarterback.
Yeah.
Sorry. And like I said, our people, our other fam is here. If he was in this,
if I was the Jets, if I was the Dolphins,
the Jets,
if I was
any team, if it's a team in the Dolphins situation, if you have Tannehill, you already know he's not going to play this season. Mm-hmm. You don't have a top quarterback. The quarterback carousel has turned into a madhouse now because at one time there was a big thing about quality quarterbacks. Anytime a team is talking about we're looking to get RG3, why? For all that, y'all might as well go back and get Manziel. It's quarterbacks that I don't understand. We give chances and opportunities to that truly do not deserve it. And I know that, and I'm not. Before I go any further, because I know it's going to sound like it's not a black and white thing. It's players and best quality. Because if you look at quarterbacks this year, Blake Bortles has not had the greatest season this year. The greatest career so far since he's been in Jacksonville.
He's had a couple games.
Right.
Where he did good.
And I know part of it is they haven't gone through their, what we call the wide receiver picks, because, normally Jacksonville known for getting a wide receiver in a second.
Definitely. So. Brock
Osweiler,
did as well either. Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's a few quarterbacks who just...
And then there's some quarterbacks that get hurt. Not get hurt. They get hit with that, okay, you had a good run. So let's put you with this team and see how you look in this uniform with this limelight. Like you mentioned earlier, I think who went to Houston?
Brock Osweiler. From Denver when he only played 7 games, and he got a big contract.
He got paid. Yeah, that's these are all points that I'm just looking at and understanding of how quarterbacks. How it's become such a challenge to have a quarterback either not per se start but get a gig on a team. Like when a lot of the quarterbacks, there weren't many quarterbacks drafted in this year's draft, if I'm not mistaken. But the ones who were drafted, it wasn't like they went out with the intention of they're going to pick a quarterback and we're going to have him where he needs to start and he's got to come in and we expect you to win right away.
I don't believe there's one that came in, even though Mitch Trubisky was picked at number 1 overall. He's not supposed to be playing that much because he's only played 1 season in college. Mm-hmm. There was Deshaun Watson as well as 2 who came out.
Those were Clemson, right?
Yeah, out of Clemson. He went to the Texans.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, who went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So there was a couple quarterbacks. However, they're all based off of talent. They're not based off of what they can do now for you.
Or
potential.
Yeah. So. And to tie this into the football versus basketball scenario, basketball is usually 3 years. What's your next stop? Football, most cases it's 5 years because it's a matter of the development or how the quarterback is placed into a system or a player is placed into a system.
Look at Matt Ryan. He's been in the league 8-9 years now,
right?
And he just finally
hitting his stride where he's really been vintage Matty Ice. And
exactly.
I got no, and like we talk about it, division foes, whatever. If I see a player doing their work, I'm gonna give them their props. Like right now, they're showing an image on one of the articles that we have for the preseason. James Winston James Winston is starting to come into his own. Granted, they didn't have one of the greatest records, but that's like we always say all the time, our division is that fluctuating division.
Yeah.
Mariota was one of the top quarterbacks in college, but the difference is a college run offense versus an NFL run offense.
He's also one of those who also gets hurt as well too.
Exactly.
He's running around. He's also got skinnier as well too.
Yeah, so that plays a role into it. Like you said earlier, Aaron Rodgers was the hot commodity, but Aaron Rodgers built his reputation over time. Like even with him winning his championship, it's an interesting.
I was asking about that. Do you think he's overhyped for how he's only won 1 championship for how long he's been playing? Because that championship feels like forever ago now. I believe it was in 2012 or something.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it was a while back.
His record since then, I believe, is 5-6 in the playoffs.
Right. Do I feel that it's overhyped?
Because they always put him as the top quarterback in the league. Do you think he's the top quarterback in the league?
No. I would probably... I feel like... all right. So this is where the measurement part comes into play. Do we measure... All right, so as y'all know, we're segueing into NFL. This is kind of preseason talk and just the random 2% because it'll spin into like I said, we have schedules listed. I'm gonna just say it like this: Dallas played against Arizona. They won. They didn't play any starters. You have more games coming. All the scheduled games are listed. Blah blah blah. Whatever. To answer your question, I feel as though he's somewhat overrated, but he's also, his stats speak for themselves though. It's been a while.
It's been a while since 2010. It was 2010.
So 7 years.
Yeah, and since then he's made it to the playoffs each year. He's made it to the playoffs each year.
Right.
He's been knocked out after one game twice. He's won one game 3 times and then knocked out the second game and then won 2 games last year and then lost to the Falcons in the conference championship.
So he hasn't gotten back to so he got to the conference once. Okay. I want to make sure I got that right. I mean, it's a tough discussion. Like this, okay. I'll put it like this because I mentioned this before with somebody. When you think of a quarterback like Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he has no championships.
Correct.
But he's in that conversation. Like there are always these unique circumstances with players. Like they'll look at a player such as a Steve Young and say, well, Steve Young was good, but Steve Young just pretty much had picked up what Joe Montana had. That's not his fault. But then also on the same token, new faces came in after Montana had left because the game was starting to change. Quarterbacks vary with teams. Like some people could say McNabb was a good quarterback. McNabb literally was like a fingertip away from a Super Bowl in so many words. I mean, because he
did make it to a lot of conference championship games,
right?
Too.
Exactly. So I mean, like when it comes to quarterback discussions, it's so challenging. Like, what was my man's name? Mark Brunell. Mark Brunell was what I define Mark Brunell as a one-off with Jacksonville. Like I know I'm doing the Jacksonville talk today. Don't ask me why. But I think about him as like another one of those quarterbacks that was like he had solid stats, but he was in Jacksonville, so it wasn't like the greatest. But
the thing with Rodgers though with me is that like sometimes he comes up short in the playoff games that they actually lose as well too. Yeah, he's had a lot of playoff games where like they lose and he has 200 yards or he doesn't reach 300 yards.
Yeah, he was a no-show.
Exactly.
I'm with you. I mean, like, all right. Oh, now he's okay. So I just got a notification that Jay Cutler is leaning heavily towards staying retired. Good job.
Was it that, or was it that they weren't trying to pay you starter money when you're fairly above?
If he came in and started, it would have been such a problem. I just hope and this is a sidebar against the scheduling. I truly hope that he has a good analyst career.
He's very bland though. It seems like so.
That's Jay Cutler though.
So I'm saying, how do you expect it to be a good analyst? Though?
I'm trying to give him some positive, some chakras, some vibes, something. Maybe I need to go in there and help him out. Like, look, this is what you need to do: be confident, be comfortable, be humble. That's no, but I don't like. I need to. Maybe I'll catch it. See if I can catch him, and actually, then I can say, all right, Cutler, come on the podcast. We'll show you how to get some energy or something because. It's like Tebow. Tebow was a unique SEC. When he did SEC games, it was kind of cringy. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, you watching him and you're like, you can tell in the back of his head, he's like, I wish I was playing football. But his problem was he didn't want to convert from his position. He wanted to be a quarterback. Like, you look at a player like Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor had to eat pride and eat crow to get out of being a quarterback and eventually become a decent wide. Like, he's a good wide receiver.
No, definitely.
So, all right. So we're on a quarterback carousel. So we have, all right. Now, since you said Rodgers, now you know I'm gonna play a wild card because I got one. I got a good one for you, and he's in our division. Drew Brees. Do you feel like Drew Brees was just that one hype after the Hurricane Katrina Super Bowl? I'm sorry. I'm the bad host. Forgive me, y'all. It was a good run. That was a tragic situation that happened. But after that, it was like, where's Drew Brees?
So he's a little bit different. He's led the league in passing yards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Led the league in percentage 3 times. Led the league in touchdowns 4 times. Yards per game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
So he's, I don't know. In my opinion, he's done.
He's got a different resume.
He's definitely got a different resume. He's definitely put numbers up.
Yeah.
The defenses around him have been terrible. Same with Rodgers, though. You have to do that to him as well, too. The defenses around him have been terrible. He's had a lot of injuries throughout his, on his teams throughout his career. Yeah. Even the year that they won the Super Bowl in 2010, they had injuries throughout the whole year until the playoffs, and that's when they got all healthy. That's how they were able to make that run.
Right.
Drew Brees, his resume definitely speaks for itself as well too. It's just because he's played more years though. Yeah. So with Rodgers, we still have to give him more time.
Yeah, because Brees before New Orleans, he was San Diego guy. So in San Diego, for him to be in San Diego,
so he looked like he busted up his arm, and then they gave him a chance.
Yep.
It's also because they're talking about putting Aaron Rodgers in a high, tier 1 kind of. Drew Brees isn't in that tier. You know what I mean? So Drew Brees is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. Okay. It's just that they talk about Aaron Rodgers if he's up there with Tom Brady.
All right. So if I put you under, if you were put in a critical situation to say, I need you to name 5 elite quarterbacks that are in the NFL right now. Are there 5?
Oh, okay, yes. But I'm saying of all time, though.
Of all time? Okay, yeah. All right, I got you. All time.
They're putting Aaron Rodgers up there with Tom Brady and Joe Montana.
No. Okay, all right. We can reel back now. No. You can't.
Top quarterback in the league right now? Yeah, definitely I'd put him up there. Yeah.
But as far as all time, no, he's still number one. His resume has to be built a little bit stronger. Yes. And I'm not gonna say build it based on winning the Super Bowl because, forgive my bluntness, Eli Manning has 2 championships.
Pure luck.
And Eli has 2 non-Patriots championships because pretty much as long as the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, if the Giants on the other side, it's a good chance they'll win.
And they won those games both because of the defensive line and the defense that they had on those teams that were able
lucky
to
catches,
stop. Yeah. And then on the offensive end, they're definitely lucky. Eli Manning closing his eyes and throwing the ball down the field. But David Tyree having gum on his ear, gum on his helmet,
from the little Giants movie. Stick him on his hand.
Side note: when I was watching the Super Bowl, game, when that happened, I was like, "Dang!" Now I know how the Patriots fans felt when that happened with that catch by Julian Edelman. When Robert Alford kind of kicked it off his, fell on his foot. I'm
that one kind of that moment.
Me back to that.
Oh my gosh! All right, so we can confirm it's obvious that he's not. I wouldn't put Eli as an elite at all. Elite. Eli's problem has always been clock management to me. He never knows.
I think he has color blindness as well too for throwing interceptions and throwing the ball to the other team as much too. But clock management, we can say that's one of them.
Okay, the mild answer is clock management, but the hindsight is he really doesn't know his team. Yeah, his interception rate is ridiculous. All right, let's think if I got any other wild cards to throw football wise.
What are you most excited to see this season?
This season, I really want to see who is going to be that team that comes out of nowhere and makes a strong run. I
was asking, when do you want to make Super Bowl predictions?
I can make if I was to make one right now.
Yes.
I feel like my blind shot would be, and I'm not even going to try to say Dallas because that's just impossible. And
NFC is hard because
NFC is always is wild. It's a wild shot. Mm-hmm.
The NFC is kind of like the West in the NBA.
Exactly. I want to be the Redskins because they struggle heavily.
I'm pinning the Patriots in the AFC.
The only team that will give the Patriots a hard time. Go ahead.
You gonna say the Raiders?
Yeah, okay. I'd probably say the Raiders because the Raiders. This should be that because this is that one chance that it's
if everyone's healthy.
Yeah, because you still have one of. You have Marshawn Lynch coming back at full strength. That shouldn't be too much of a hindrance. I was ready to say on the East, and I'm like, wait, this is in the NFC. You can always say, like I said, it's 2 identities with Dallas. because you get regular season Dallas and then you get bipolar Dallas.
When it comes to Dallas, I always think of what. Have you ever heard what Stephen A. Smith has said about Dallas? Like whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah,
that's how I still feel about Dallas.
Okay.
Until they change it. That's how I'm always going to feel about them. So I'm just putting them out of it. So
I got you. I can't say anybody from our division. Like, I mean, I say like Atlanta. Of course, Atlanta has a good run. It depends on what the Bucks do, because the Bucks can always play that wild.
Bucks as well too.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like it's that time for them to kind of show up and wake up.
Well, the Seahawks.
You know what? I forgot. All right, okay, there we go. So I mean. If we were to do a redo, all right, Super Bowl predictions. Going into the matchups, I would say Raiders, Patriots, AFC, Green Bay, Seattle, NFC. Atlanta's probably my wild. Atlanta, like one of the teams from our division, not Carolina. And I think I'm only kind of dropping Carolina because you never know how it's going to start out.
I want to see how they look as well too.
Yeah, because because it's a lot of new pieces coming in, so I'm like kind of questioning that as well. So between those games, unless Tom Brady has some crazy, whatever new gate comes up, floodgate, Spygate, Watergate, something. Patriots, because they're going to figure out the team's calls or something. I know I'm being bad, and I shouldn't do that. And I'm sorry, my third wild card team on the AFC, Colts. Keep an eye for the Colts.
That's a bold prediction right there. Okay.
Keep up. I mean, because Luck might have that year where he decides I'm going to try to play. So you never know.
Last year was a terrible year.
Yeah, I mean, because he could bounce back from that. Yeah. So Green Bay, Seattle. I feel like this might be Green Bay's time.
Green Bay's time. Okay.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go with the Green Bay because I mean you think about it. Like you said, last year they were in the NFC Championship game. They just laid an egg.
Definitely. I can definitely see it happening. It's a team that's gonna get hot. Aaron Rodgers, I would definitely like to see it. It definitely changed my perspective.
Yeah.
Definitely wouldn't call him overrated anymore as well too. if he got a second one, definitely gotta put some respect on it.
Yeah, plenty.
Put some respect on his name. Yeah, definitely. But I would say I would go with Patriots. I think they're gonna win it all next year.
Okay.
If they don't, I feel like that's definitely gonna be a disappointing year just based off of all the all
the hype and hoopla and
exactly everybody they picked up.
Yeah.
And at the NFC,
okay,
it's a dogfight in the NFC.
Yeah, it's like
who's gonna win.
I always will say that about. That's why I'm always adamant about being an NFC team fan because I mean Carolina's not like we. I mean we base our Carolina and Atlanta stories like our division is weird. Dallas and like I said, Dallas, Washington, the Giants, and Philadelphia. Coming out of that division with 4 wins is huge.
Yeah.
So that's that's how you gotta look at that division. Chicago, like I said, Chicago's division with Green Bay. Green Bay, unless Green Bay does some weird losses somewhere along the way, they should be able to win their division.
Teddy Bridgewater's back as well too with Minnesota, and they started off 6-0 last year because they had a good defense. So
and then when he got that, so that could play into it as well. I'm waiting. All right, so let's take the bad pettiness out of the way. Who is Sanchez with now? Because whoever he's with, I don't want to touch them at all.
I believe he's with the team in the AFC.
Okay. All right. While we're looking for that, we'll segue because I forgot we got like so many stories. I'm looking at the tabs. I'm like, I did not know we had all this information. Well, these are all the stories that kind of hit for me. So. Go ahead. Did you get the info? I want to.
Chicago Bears.
He's with the Bears. Oh, okay. So yeah. So Trubisky's first.
I don't know what they're doing there. To be honest,
because they start Sanchez, that would be very ironic. Because
let's just move on.
Okay. We'll just pass over. All right. So we did talk about teams, and one of the teams that like I said I just predicted, and I guess that's my bold prediction is Seahawks. We're gonna see what happens though. I'm hoping so. But they did give their star safety Cam Chancellor a nice little bit of money. 28. He got a multi-year extension back on Tuesday for $25 million, and that's guaranteed. They were finalizing the deal. They basically are trying to, work on getting some more. They're at a good place money wise with being able to pay him. And Chancellor just kind of made it clear he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's only 29. He started 12 games. He had a pretty good season. Had two picks, forced fumble, 85 tackles. Was trying to get a contract before the 2015 season, but it was kind of a holdout. Oh yeah, he had a holdout. He had a holdout during that time period. He's going to be with the team until 2020. He was stating that he's going to try to play as long as he can. So he's kind of in that boat with James Harrison, because James Harrison's he made it clear he's trying to pay for, he literally, they talked about, he just spent $300,000 on his workout setup. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some of his workouts, and I'm like, no, I couldn't do half of what you're doing, sir. No. Definitely. So he was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, he got a nice payday, ranked 7th among all safeties.
That's not bad at all.
No, definitely. The secondary for Seattle is actually the number one. They get paid the most. They're the highest paid secondary by $32 million. Okay. More than the next highest. Yeah. It's just funny if you think about it. He's getting paid $25 million. It was a 3-year deal, correct?
Yes.
3-year deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was actually $36 million. Just $25 million was guaranteed.
25 guaranteed. Okay. Yeah.
So the $25 million that was guaranteed over 3 years. Yeah. So next year, Kevin Durant's making $25 million, and he took a pay cut.
All right. So yeah, this was the story that Thank you. I'm glad you said that. So this will. And I know we're doing heavy football at the 1 hour mark, which is fine because I told y'all, now that football season is back, a lot of people, the stories are going to kind of go a little different, but it's going to be for good purpose. One of the biggest trends and traits right now, because I believe, the Players Union, the NBA Players Union just redid their collective bargaining agreement, which is all well and good. The NFL has theirs coming up, I believe, at the end of this season, it's either this season or next season where they're going to be trying to figure out things. And one of the biggest complaints or concerns is players' salaries in the NFL. Players in the NFL feel as though they're underpaid. And I agree. I mean, I'm not going to lie, because you think basketball, there's contact involved. But in the NFL, you have a lot of players, which we did talk about a few weeks ago with Warren Sapp. A lot of players are concerned with CTE, concussions,
especially after the last report that just came out. Exactly.
So, I mean, with those factors, and you think about it, even with the NFL doing what they did as far as paying players the money they paid, they were like, well, all these players are retired. They went through a hard time. Let's give them some money to kind of make up for everything, medical wise. And it still isn't going to equate or be the same, as resolving the issue or the situation. Do you? I feel like it's kind of an obvious answer, because unless you see different, are NFL players really underpaid?
In my opinion, yes, they are underpaid. Okay. Just based off of how much money the league makes and things of that nature.
That's what I was about to say. I haven't looked too much
into the CBA to see the percentages of how much they make off of the income coming in. Mm-hmm. I know with the NBA, the players get 49% of whatever income comes in towards the league. Right. So whenever they get a new TV contract or something of that nature, they get 49% of that. That's why it increases the budget or the cap space, and the teams have to spend a certain amount of that cap. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, they're underpaid, especially for what they do. Mm-hmm. Out of the 3 major sports in America, baseball, basketball, and football, mm-hmm. they get paid the worst out of all 3. Yeah. With basketball and with baseball, they get paid on guaranteed contracts. Oh yeah. Football, they can just go ahead and cut you at any moment. Right. This is true. That's just the end of your contract right there. With basketball, if they cut you, you have to do a buyout, and
you will get
the player controls that buyout, because they're the one who's under contract, and they want to get out of the team wants to get out of the contract. I believe we talked about somebody who used to play for the Knicks who's still getting paid on $1 million every year, on a certain day.
Yeah, I think I do remember. Yeah, I remember that story. I can't think of it offhand, but yeah, there are some very unique, and I found a video one time where they showed some of the contracts that players signed and how it would be involved. The difference and I think the biggest difference is you're playing, like most players are playing for that bonus, that signing. The guarantee is great, but the signing bonus is like your true incentive. And some incentives, the NFL incentives are such a challenge because there aren't so many players who make Pro Bowls. Like Pro Bowls are kind of like, I don't want to say participation. Like you can, like everyone who plays, it's like everyone gets money, so it's a participation award. But the problem is, like you said, it's like the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar corporation too. But the NFL is a little bit more of a multi-billion-dollar, but they don't disperse. Right, they don't disperse their money the right way. Because anytime I think about the NFL, the first thing that I think of is the NFL has this network. Great, cool, we got a network. Then each team has their own network that shows, like you mentioned earlier about Dallas. Think about how much money Dallas makes with their shows and their airings of like any Dallas related information for just related to the Cowboys.
There's a lot.
Then you put in teams like the Patriots. Like the Patriots, and I get it with football, but then I guess I don't, because I know they do it in basketball as well. Like when it comes to media day, Tom Brady had to go up there and stand in front of people every single day and answer questions about random stuff, and it's like, granted, because for cordial, logical reasons, they don't show every single interview, but some of them that they make a big deal out of, they'll say, all right, we talking to Tom Brady, blah, 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 if y'all got any questions. And it's like you basically asking him, it's like the media's, you got to pay for media time. Yes. You got to, like when they're being interviewed, you got like their board behind them with like Dunkin' Donuts and Gillette. So all of them, those sponsorships. So it's money that's part of it. But like you said, and like we're looking at, the money doesn't come back to the player.
Yeah.
Or if it comes back to those who are like, okay, we ain't gonna pay Richard Sherman a whole lot of money. We might pay Russell Wilson a whole lot of money. Tannehill might get some money too. He had a decent year. We gonna pay Tom Brady. We gonna pay Aaron Rodgers. We gonna pay these players for their service. But it's like these players may not even win a championship, or they may not have had like that big of an impact on the team. But it's like, we want to pay you because we want to keep you. Because if we let you go, you might go somewhere else and make more money.
No, definitely. And the only way that they're going to get better contracts for them, more guaranteed contracts, and things of that nature, or if they have to hold out, they have to not play any games. They have to go ahead and they have to go on strike. That's what the NBA did when they had their lockout.
Yeah,
I believe the MLB did that as well. The Major League did that as well too.
Yep.
Earlier though.
Yeah, they did. They make sure they try to do it right before the season started, because you like in baseball's case it's a lot different, because it's 100-something games.
Yeah.
Even losing out on those games, not having people in those seats or not having people serving hot dogs, popcorn, whatever, that's money you lose.
Salary.
Yeah. So I'll answer the question from my end. I feel as though players in the NFL are highly underpaid, and I think it's something that the league should address.
Players have to take the chance first, though.
Exactly.
And I think it also has a lot to do with the players' union as well, too. Mm-hmm. They have to go ahead and create something so the people on the low end, the players on the totem, like the low end of the totem pole, who don't get paid that much and who live check to check, not check to check, but you know what I mean, who don't get paid as much as the higher paid people who get paid millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They have to find something so that those players still get paid something while the lockout's going on, because they have to play together.
They got to do something, because it ain't like in the NBA. If the NBA has a lockout, okay, cool, we got a lockout, we'll go play in the Drew League, or we'll find somewhere to kind of run some pickup ball. Then like you run, the closest thing you can do in the NFL, and that's based on your contract, if you're allowed to, you can't really, because I'm not sure, I guess this is kind of like my tech talk 101 learning, is, all right, I can't play in the NFL, let me go to Canadian Football League, or let me go to Arena Football, like to just kind of play, if there's, based on how seasons interact, because I know, if I'm thinking of it correctly, Arena Football is going on now. In a couple of weeks when it finishes, the NFL season starts up, so it's like, you can't really, unless you can time them or put them together, and it makes it a tough run. So I know we kind of did it a little different. We did the basketball. Well, we did the soccer. We did the basketball. Threw a lot of football at y'all. And I know I did initially mention not doing football or not doing basketball as much, but this story has lingered, and we have just... I don't know where to begin with this story. Kyrie, Batman. We'll call it Batman and Robin. We'll call it. We'll make it Batman and Robin Part 3. Part 1 was Shaq and Kobe. Part 2 is Durant and Westbrook.
I feel like Batman and Robin isn't doing it as much justice though, because that makes me really think because Kyrie Irving had a big part in his role with the championship.
Not taking anything away from that. Like this okay. The battle of the Batman and Robin reference is because two players on one team are number one. There's the challenge of who's 1A and who's 1B. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you go back to the Lakers, you had Shaq and Kobe, both in their prime, both as the top dog. Somebody had to step down in that role, and neither one of them were willing to do so. And of course, that ended up causing where Shaq ended up leaving, Kobe stayed, and it just progressed. Now, then you had Durant and Westbrook, where they both were ball dominant. I know I hate using that term sometimes, but in this case, they were both wanting to kind of be the guy to take a shot. Westbrook would do his part, Durant would do his part. They split. Mm-hmm. Durant gets the championship. Everybody feel like he got the championship being a coward because he just ran to a team that already was good, made them super team, which I don't even understand how that's possible. I mean, I know in some ways you can look at it like this kind of possible, but it's like you still can have a team that can beat them if you know how to play the game, to stop what they're doing. Look
at San Antonio the first half or first 3 quarters when they were playing against them. So.
All they had to, you just have to play them. It was a physical, attempt of a matchup. Westbrook ended up being the getting the MVP, triple double stat machine, and here you are now in the off season, and Kyrie is tired of being in LeBron's shadow. So they go through the free agency talk happens, players are moving. LeBron makes it clear. I think Cleveland. Their general manager, I believe, one of their top front office guys left.
David Griffin, the GM, he left.
Yeah, he left, and they were trying to figure out who was going to come in place. It was initially going to be Billups. Billups ended up not taking the position because he was going to get less money. I know I'm giving y'all like aggressive timeline, but I'm just trying to hit where it got to the interesting point. Kyrie felt upset because he was like literally the shadow to LeBron. Mm-hmm. He felt like the little brother or the baby brother, and I'm like, I get that, but I think what is interesting is how Cleveland kind of pulled a unique trigger with the situation, because what they then decided to do, which I don't understand why they did this, they got Derrick Rose.
They did.
You got Derrick Rose
after the reports came out, though, because they were talking about how Kyrie was requesting to be traded to the Bulls before the draft, the NBA draft.
Oh, this is carrying on for a while. Okay.
Yeah, so they were talking about how he wanted to be traded to the Bulls before the NBA draft because he wanted to play with Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. That ended up not happening
because Butler went to Minnesota.
Butler ended up going to Minnesota, and that's why Minnesota's one of his teams now that he wants to end up being traded to. He has his whole list of teams that he wants to be traded to. Yeah. And then the reports come out that he ends up wanting to be traded because of LeBron and whatnot. And then they're saying how Kyrie's camp saying it was LeBron's camp that let it out. Yeah. Kyrie's not happy about that. LeBron is now like mad that Kyrie even put him in this situation, like said his name out about this whole situation. And then there was the whole, it was like about a week ago with Steph Curry at the Harrison Barnes wedding.
Yeah.
With the video of
the dancing of him when he was working out or whatever.
LeBron James challenge.
Yeah. I have so many things that I can say about this story. And I guess I'm just going to kind of start with the obvious. Is there any reason why the two of them can't just sit and like have a conversation? I think
it's past that point now.
Yeah.
and Kyrie's also saying that he's not going to guarantee that he would sign an extension or a long-term contract with any team that they trade him to. So now he's even hurting his trade value as well too.
Because he kind of already coming in with a demand in that circumstance.
Yeah, definitely. So it's definitely hurting them. I was saying the same thing too, like if they could try to make it work. I don't think so, just because the fact that he said he wants to be traded because he wants to get out from
the background, from the shadow.
Yeah, but he said he wants to be the focal point of the offense. However, he he said he wants to be like the focal point of offense, kind of like Damian Lillard or John Wall, when neither of them had made out of the second round.
Right.
And he shot more shot attempts than John Wall. He either shot more or he tied with Damian Lillard. He does shoot a lot of shots, and when it comes down to clutch moments, they give the ball to him. Like if you remember the finals 2 years ago, they gave the ball to him to make that game-winning shot. Right. Which is why one of the biggest shots in the last. In the last
couple of decades,
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think I don't know what he's thinking with this. Maybe he just wants out of Cleveland just because it's so dysfunctional. Yeah. I don't know.
And it's a tough scenario because I mean you factor in Cleveland. You look at Cleveland 4 years ago. We'll go back 4 years. Kyrie was in his second or third year, maybe.
That was his third year.
That was his third year. Okay. LeBron was still in Miami. We're going 4 years. 3 years would have been because they made.
He's played 6 years now, so 3 years. So then that was his third season.
Yeah, you got LeBron in Miami. They just come out of that. All right, we didn't win. This ain't working. Ready to make some changes. You make the transition. You get one of the best players in the NBA.
Well, first they re-signed Kyrie. They told him that it was going to be his team, and then 11 days later, LeBron comes back.
Okay, so that can and see. I think that all happening might have been probably what could have triggered all of this to occur. Now
it's just boiling. It's just been,
right. Because I mean, you look at LeBron coming to Cleveland. They go to the championship. They go to the finals all 3 years. The first year, it was Golden State beat them, but Golden State was just on a huge run at that time. I mean,
also there was injuries as well too.
Exactly.
Kyrie played the first game and got injured in overtime. So.
Yeah, and Love was that the one? Was that the series?
Love got hurt in the first round against the Celtics.
Yeah, with the shoulder. Yep. Dirty player.
Definitely.
And Olynyk, before we continue, I do want to. Hopefully, Olynyk has a decent season in Miami because I was looking at a story with Justice Winslow where he's kind of rehabbing to get his because he had a I think it was a shoulder injury or something like that, and he's trying to come back to have because I think this will be his third year, and I've seen Winslow play, and I like seeing him play. I did not know how he would work out. Especially being a one and done from Duke.
Where do you see, or where would you predict Kyrie landing? And do you think he's gonna be moved by the start of the next season?
Will he be moved by the start of the season? Yes. Where will he go? I really feel like if they can put the pieces in place to have it to work, I think Phoenix can do it.
Phoenix does have the best assets to go ahead and trade over.
Yeah.
However, they don't want to move Josh Jackson.
That's what I'm saying. All right, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Josh Jackson it would be weird to trade him, especially when he's that's the best chance you have towards the future.
Especially him and Devin Booker next to each other. One can guard somebody, and the other person can score buckets.
Because then you're making it clear that you're putting if you had that three-headed. That's because that's truly on paper. You looking at Kyrie Irving, Devin Booker, Josh Jackson,
and then Marquise Chris growing up.
Right, Chris has been. There you have Chris, and I can't think of their center.
Dragan Bender.
Yeah,
they would be trading Dragan Bender in the deal that they offered to be Eric Bledsoe, Dragan Bender, and a first-round pick.
Okay, I feel like it's.
They had Alex Len though. He's trying to stay healthy.
Right. That's what I was.
Work in progress.
Yeah. We're always working on doing better.
Another team I can see them going to is the Timberwolves. However, the Timberwolves,
they want to give up Wiggins, right?
They would have to give up Wiggins, and I'm pretty sure they'd also have to give up Jeff Teague as well too, since he'd be taking Jeff Teague's spot anyways.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't accept a trade just for Wiggins. However, Jeff Teague can't be traded until December 15th, since he was a free agent they picked up.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like as you call it. It's known as the red tape of basketball.
And he can't go to any of the other teams that he wants. He says he wants to go to he said the Spurs. Who can the Spurs trade besides Kawhi Leonard? And they're not going to trade Kawhi Leonard.
They're not trading Kawhi.
The Knicks. Who else? Who could they trade? Carmelo wants to go to Houston.
Yeah, Carmelo. Yeah, we're going to go into the Carmelo story in a moment.
And
but, yeah.
Kristaps. They're not going to trade Kristaps.
They're not trading the unicorn. You can't. That just wouldn't make sense. It's.
Kristaps and Kyrie, though, that would be a nice pick and roll.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, but the problem, well, Phil's gone, so that's great. We don't have any. Hopefully, we can just, like, implode the triangle offense. Because, I mean, the triangle offense worked in the 90s and in the early 2000s.
It's a different era.
It's a much different era. It's more screen and rolls. It's more
about
self-creation. Yeah, like PR, stuff like that. Spacing on the floor. The biggest thing about basketball now, and like I said, I know we hit the football topic heavy, but the biggest thing about basketball that I've always watched is spacing, because a lot of players, if it's a crowded little area and everyone's right there, and that's where somebody like for LeBron, I think that's why LeBron ball dominates like he does, because he's waiting for everyone to move so he can try to make his play that no one else thinks we're gonna see coming, but he does it second nature. So I don't know. But I feel as though if he plays with Cleveland, it's going to be a lot of tension on the court.
Yeah. I say either way, they're still making the finals, though.
They have to. Like, you really don't have,
unless the Celtics somehow fall out of their minds.
Yeah, if the Hayward Thomas backcourt works, I might be sold.
And Jason Tatum,
yeah. And see, that's another unique scenario. So, all right, so with Boston, since we're talking about it, you have Jaylen Brown, who is he'll be in his second year.
Yes. You
have Jason Tatum, who's a rookie. Jaylen Brown comes off the bench because they really don't have a true place with him. Avery Bradley's gone.
Got Marcus Smart still.
Yeah, you got Marcus. And I thought that was what was interesting. I thought they were going to make trades. Because it looks like they were attempting to make trades.
They love the word assets. They like to keep their assets. Which is, if you're a Boston fan, I wouldn't be happy. However, I'm not a Boston fan, so
yeah, it ain't gonna hurt you one way or
keep
the
their
other.
assets.
Yeah, because Jay Crowder, I like him. Jay Crowder is what they need though. Like you need that gritty.
Yes.
Like Jay Crowder is that gritty type of player.
Especially when you don't have to guard LeBron in the playoffs.
Yeah. Like because you need a player that's going to give LeBron a fit.
So you can't stop him. You just need to.
Yeah, you got to be able to give him whatever. I mean, utilize your 6 fouls wisely in a 4-quarter, 48-minute game.
Work for it.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other. He definitely can't. Obviously, he can't go to Houston. He can't go to LA. The only weird scenario, and him going to LA logically wouldn't work anyway because LeBron wants to go there. So you already know that's out of the picture.
And plus, Lonzo's there, so they wouldn't trade for him.
Yeah. How do you? Since we didn't, I don't think we talked about it either. How do you feel Lonzo did for summer league?
I felt he did great. He won the MVP there.
Right.
Again, it's summer league though, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I feel like I think that they're gonna do all right this year. There were some projections of how many games the teams were gonna win this year. They were at 33, I believe.
Yeah.
If we say that was the over under, I would go over. Not by much, maybe like 34.
Yeah.
35.
Maybe look, possibly out of lottery, but if we in the lottery, we in the low lottery.
If we out of the lottery, that means we made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
true.
I don't know if we're gonna make the playoffs in the West.
Yeah.
However, just us being in contention and fighting down towards the later end of the season, that would be
great
for us.
Yeah.
Since it's been 4 years since the playoffs, and that's the longest streak in Laker history. So we'll see how they do this year. This year is probably the most important year since they won the finals back in 2010.
Yeah, definitely,
because next year that's when the free agents come. So
right. Who is all right? This is random, and I'm probably it likely wouldn't happen because that environment wouldn't work for him. Who is Utah's point guard?
Utah, they have George Hill.
They got George Hill.
Actually, I believe George Hill went to Sacramento. He went to Sacramento.
So it's like Dante Exum.
They got Dante Exum and they got Trey
Burke. They don't have the only thing is they don't have any pieces to trade.
They could give up Roddy Hood, Alec Burks.
They ain't giving up Gober.
Derek Favors. They could give up probably maybe those three, but I still don't think that those three would be enough though.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye. Like, I mean, I truly feel like until this story actually gets legs,
maybe the Pelicans for DeMarcus Cousins.
The Pelicans would trade. You said to trade DeMarcus.
Trade for DeMarcus Cousins. Kyrie Irving for DeMarcus Cousins.
I'm having like a mental, because I'm looking at it and thinking to myself.
But how would that compete against the Warriors though? I don't know how. Like if you have DeMarcus Cousins and Kevin Love playing defense against the Warriors, you're gonna get tore up. Yeah. But offensively though, you're gonna score probably every bucket though. So we'll see how it goes. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because we're right now it's August. I would say before preseason, we'll know what the story or what the outcome is. I mean, I just hope that they eventually can talk to each other and there's some interaction.
There's gonna be more coming out.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like the story gained legs, and then it's also like media pushed it, and then it could be all just hoopla. It could be just getting the attention and getting the NBA some type of traction. So we'll see. Carmelo is our next culprit and our next story. I didn't notice how coincidental it was that I had 2 New York Post stories until I looked at it. But anyway, the article's there. I'm not going to really talk too much about the article. The simplest way to put it is Carmelo wants out of New York, but he still has his passion for being a Knick. Yes. But he also knows that the Knicks aren't going to build anything around him, along with the fact that he's not a build-around type of player, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. Because he if you're trying to win a championship, he can't be your number one player. No. He can't be your number one. It's just that simple. He's been the number one for over a decade now.
And it's been a downward spiral.
He made it out of the first round, I believe, twice now in his career.
And the Knicks did make the playoffs at one point, right?
They did, and they made it out of the first round one time there, and that's when they lost to the Pacers in the second round one year. And he made it out of the first round with the Nuggets one time. Yeah. He's not the type of player to build around. However, he has a no trade clause, so it's up to him.
What he wants to do.
Yes. However, he's saying that he only wants to go to Houston, and I don't see that working because Houston's assets, because they gave up all their assets for Chris Paul. Yeah. Now they would have to give up Ryan Anderson. He's gonna be a big part of that. He would be a big part of that.
Yeah,
trade.
Between Ryan Anderson or Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon didn't get traded there.
He did not.
Okay, so I mean, between one of those two, I can see that.
But I'd lose some bench.
Yeah, you lose. Yeah, because you already gave up Lou Williams. I mean, that was like, because it was an interesting scenario having 2 six man recipients on the same team. The Carmelo story is interesting, and I say it like that, and I know it's probably me repeating it from earlier, but I just feel as though Carmelo could work in Houston, but like you said, it's the pieces, it's the chemistry. The one perk to him going to Houston, and this is why I feel he wants to go to Houston, because he's played for D'Antoni before.
But he also didn't get along well with D'Antoni. He got D'Antoni fired from New York.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, but see, now he realizes, I think now it's like he's trying to find a way to make his brand, and I feel like the best way you can do it might be to go to Houston, but
he's that old man who's matured and realized what he's messed up. And
now I got to eat your pride and like think about what you've done now and where you stand. So
he wanted to have his cake. He wanted to eat his cake and have it too by getting the money a couple years ago. Yeah, and trying to stay in New York. Yeah, and try to win.
And I think after the LaVar situation wasn't perfect, there's a lot of things. It's like in the behind the scenes queue that we don't know about. That kind of play into it. Do I feel like he'll be in Houston next season? No.
Will he be in New York by the end of next season after the trade deadline?
No. He's going somewhere. Like they make this story every year as to where, like, it was like, okay, the trade that, like, when trade deadline hit this past season, Paul George was supposed to be gone. Yes. Carmelo was supposed to be gone.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler. All of these guys. I don't think Hayward was talked at that time.
So they're waiting for him to just be a free agent.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins.
The Cousins story was very interesting. Cause I don't know if I think we talked about it during the show. Mm-hmm. He was in. And it's so crazy because I remember when they showed this. Like, they were doing an interview with DeMarcus Cousins. And in the middle of the interview during, that's yours. Oh, I was like looking like, wait, what happened? So Cousins got traded. Cousins was sitting doing like an All-Star game interview. And they were in New Orleans for the All-Star game. And somebody, like his agent or whatever, came up to him and was talking to him while he was doing the interview. And, Oh, you kept it up there. I just was like looking at mine like, wait, do that. And he got the announcement. He was like, oh, word? And then it was like he went back to what he was talking about, and then eventually he made it like, all right, well, I found my new home or whatever. So,
he should open it up so it's more teams, because they're saying that the Thunder are interested as well as the Trailblazers as well too. So he should open it up. Those teams are also teams that made the playoffs last year in the West.
The Trailblazers would be a good push.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, you have the Trailblazers have plenty of pieces. They have people that they need to get rid of. Like, nothing against them. Ed Davis, I'm not understanding. Like I was a huge, because Ed Davis is from Richmond, and I'm just exposed where I am. But whatever. But Ed Davis was a key basketball player, with the local team. He played in North Carolina for a year. When he left that year, him panning and learning the game like he didn't, like a lot of players don't understand, it's a different flow of a game. All right, so this goes, now this will be a good one for you. Is there a likelihood, I don't see it, but it could be just for fun, do you think he may ever look at the Spurs as a team?
No, I don't think he would. However, maybe he should though. I could see that happening though. Him trying to play it within they'd have to force him into a system. He didn't like being forced into a system before with the triangle. However, that's a different system.
That's a whole different system.
Popovich is right there, and he's got a lot of respect around the league.
Yeah. What about Ed? All right, so we're gonna go back to Kyrie for a second. Could Kyrie or Carmelo, would either of them have a chance of going to Atlanta?
Going to Atlanta, like being traded to Atlanta? Mm-hmm. I don't think Atlanta has the assets to go ahead and trade for them.
I love these. That's not like that. That's gonna be the new term now on the podcast. The assets just aren't there for what we're trying to work on right now. But no, you're right.
They just have the assets is Boston, but they don't. They like their assets.
Boston is not good. Him going to Boston would not work.
It wouldn't. No.
Straight for one. The primary reason is they're in the same division, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And it's very few times I've seen teams where they'll trade within their own division.
That's why Paul George was traded to the West. They didn't even want him in the same conference, and that's why they took a lesser trade for him.
Yeah. So I mean, like just like you said, we'll this will be one of those eye-opening stories. Like I would say by January, we'll see if we still have the Melo story gets traction, or if it happens in the next couple of weeks where he actually goes somewhere. Then okay, cool, he made a move. So this is the transition point where we do our stuff, and the stuff this week is very minimal. One of the stories I kind of mentioned as kind of a wild card because I don't think my co-host realized that it was going to happen, but it just kind of did. So it was what it was. But the other story I was able to do through research, and that's what we're going to talk about now with NBA Live. NBA Live 18 is coming out. So I'm going to give the speculations, and then I'm going to kind of talk about it a little bit. The demo, I believe, comes out on the 11th. And the game is supposed to come out around the same time as NBA 2K18. There was talk saying that it may not come out until December. But the big news that was released and shared is that it's going to be the first video game to include the WNBA players for to be available to play. So they're calling it the WNBA Play Now mode. So basically what happens is you can play as any WNBA team and play against another WNBA team. They have the venue, the setup just like the WNBA arena. The obvious questions, these games cannot be played online. They cannot, and anyone who's dumb enough to think it's possible, you cannot play a WNBA team against an NBA team. And there's not really much else to it.
So the only play mode options though are the WNBA Play Now. So like when you just play game one on
you'll play a team like you could like if we hooked the PlayStation up, we like, all right, we're gonna hop on and play we're gonna play NBA Live. All right, cool, let's play WNBA mode. You'll pick whichever team you want out of the teams, and I'll pick my team and we play a game, and that's it. It's like I don't think they have it where you can do like run a regular season. I don't think there's the season mode of WNBA
or my player mode or things of that nature. Okay.
Yeah, they haven't. That was not addressed as one of the options for it.
steps at a time. This is definitely a good step for
huge
for
step.
that.
Because a couple of years ago, it was March Madness introduced it, where the girls basketball teams, like girls college basketball teams, were in the game, available to use. So you had Shamika, whoever was on that Tennessee team. You had Tennessee, you had Connecticut. All of your top schools were on there at that moment. So I'm liking that with NBA Live. Am I going to buy NBA Live? Probably not, because I don't really do NBA Live.
This made me think about it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, for that moment. It is actually pretty dope, because I think on FIFA 16, I don't know if it's on 17. It might be. I need to go check. That you can use the women's teams on there as well. So something to look at.
That's cool.
So our next tech story or stuff story is, and I did not know this until I found this story, because I was thinking about it at work. I was like, Bluetooth has come a long way. Like, I'm wearing my headphones, and even, the headphones that I use for using the mic, they're wireless. And I didn't, when you think about wireless, it's convenient in so many ways that now it's become second nature.
Yes.
And the story I gave to Dimitri before we started was, when Bluetooth first came out, most people had the little headset on with the little one ear clip on their ear, and it was getting all the phone call was all coming into that little, and I mean, the headset would be real small and would just sit on the side of your face, and you could talk and have a regular conversation. And the person, it was clear, it wasn't like any static, it was no issues, things like that. And you just had to deal with that blue light flashing for an eternity. Now things have changed, technology's grown up, it's not as obvious as it used to be. So the inventor of, I guess I could have made this artist of the week, but this wasn't an artist, but we'll talk about artist of the week in a moment. But the inventor of the Bluetooth product was Jock Hartson. He was an employee. He previously worked for Ericsson. Most people who know Ericsson, they were affiliated with Sony at one time. Ericsson had a huge impact on technology when it came to cell phones. He was nominated. He was nominated. The story I have now is that he was nominated for a honor with a European Patent Office, a European Inventor Award. He was born in an Ericsson lab in London, Sweden in the 90s. Well, let's see. Bluetooth was born in the 90s in Sweden. It was a global standard of short distance wireless connection. The technology celebrated its 10th anniversary in 2008. Shows you how long it's been out. So it's close to 20 years now. Bluetooth devices currently are up to about 2 billion. Today, the technology is used in multiple areas between mobile phones, PCs, consumer electronic devices, medical and health devices, sports and fitness devices, car and smart homes. One of the things that I think about, like, for instance, when people have a car, average person may listen to CDs, or they may not have like an auxiliary cable or auxiliary option. So I tell people all the time, if you don't have an aux cable, first thing people would say is, hey, can you, do you do music? Do you want to make me any music or CDs? And I'm like, well, there's a new way now you can listen to music where you don't have to make CDs. You can just listen to your own music that you want to find. You just got to buy a Bluetooth car adapter. So that's what I started doing. And I've introduced other people to it. And it's an easier technology to use. It's taken, it's to the point now, even down to something as small as playing video games. Like, most people use, when you're connecting, when controllers are wirelessly connected, most of the time it's Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it where you're able to kind of roam a little bit. Our famous, the biggest one for me always is this Alexa, with the speaker. 10 years ago, you would have never known somebody to have a speaker to be in another room and you could yell at it and tell it, hey, order this, or whatever. Little things like that we didn't have at one time. I'm to a point now, and I can think about it a few years ago, when I would play music, I used to take my phone, and this is such TMI, but it's me being transparent. I'd be like, all right, I gotta get up, I gotta take a shower, get dressed, get my life together. Let me take my phone in the bathroom, sit my phone on the, near the shower, and just let it play music.
Yeah.
Now you can take like an actual speaker and like go in the bathroom and you can play your music right through your speaker. So little things like that we take them for granted, but it's such a convenience. And that was one of the reasons why I shared the Bluetooth story as one of the topics this week. But Bluetooth, the Bluetooth technology itself, like I said, it's a good article. It was written through Ericsson's website, and I didn't, me having to realize that Ericsson is still in existence, which is a good thing. Especially how far they've evolved as a company. And I know the story is old; it's from 2012, but it was something that hit me because I literally look at how much I was against even the newer Bluetooth headsets that a lot of people wear. I used to call them a choker, and now I got one on that's around my neck, and it's like I'm used to it. But it's like, you have the little thing, and then you got the headset, and you just put your little earbud in, and you can talk. And the advantage to Bluetooth, I think, that's underrated that a lot of people don't think about is spacing. Like, you can literally sit your phone in one room, have a speaker, and walk around with it, and you can go a pretty good amount of space. Like, sometimes you can go up to like 3 or 4 rooms away, depending on the size of your area, and it'll still play. And it's not really much skip or any lag to it. So that was the reason why the Bluetooth story came in to play for this week's episode. And before I continue, I do want to share this because I have learned that simple is better. So effective today, because I did it with today's recording. The podcast that I post, when I post the article, the information talking about the story, I'm not going to go online and post all these pictures because, number one, I'm not sure copyright-wise if that is or isn't a good idea. I'm not sure. I mean, it's flown this long, so it's no big deal. But number two, it's better for you to just kind of see, okay, this is the story this is what episode we're on. And I think I might have mentioned it. If I didn't, we're at episode 98. Because I probably didn't. But putting each article, like each story, is a lot. So it's better for me to just put what the name of the episode is. And if I want to add a title, I'll do that. I know that's like TMI. So Dimitri is giving me green light on this because I think he's going to have a field day with the last few topics for our Ass of the Week. But this week's artist spotlight or artist of the week is Amel Larrieux. Amel Larrieux was previously a part of the group Groove Theory. She had a hit single. To start off, she grew up in New York. Her mom, Brenda Dixon Gottschall, she was a dance critic and professor. She formed Groove Theory with a member, Bryce Wilson, or Bryce Lover, that was his alias with the group. They signed to Epic Records. Top 10 pop hit was Tell Me, which was in October of 95. They formed they did the Groove Theory album, top 20 of the R&B chart back in 96. Larrieux was a vocalist who then worked on a self-titled album it was by Sweetback, which is a group that had 3 members of Sade. Larrieux then released her solo single Get Up, which was in November of 99, reached number 37 on the R&B chart, and then her solo album was called Infinite Possibilities, and it was released by another indie group, 550 Music, in February 2000. She worked with Glenn Lewis on a song called What's Come Over Me, and that was a pretty good song. That was from one of the soundtracks for Barbershop, and they reunited later on to work on the Stanley Clark's 1-2 to the Bass album known as Where's the Love, and that earned a Grammy nomination in 2004. And she then made her label known as Bliss Life, where she released Brave Bird Morning, the stripped down vocal jazz set of lovely standards, and a playfully eclectic. I can't read. Playfully eclectic ice cream every day. So it's a brief, and I know I kind of paraphrase it word for word, but mainly Amel Larrieux was a vocalist who was a different style back in the 90s. She was like mid to late 90s artist. Not many people knew about her when she went solo, but when she was in Groove Theory, everyone knew, oh, Mel, Groove Theory, tell me what you... Like, that was the big song back then. But when she went solo, she was able to kind of be her own identity and do her own form of musical flow. So that's why Amel Larrieux was the artist spotlight or the artist of the week this week.
What do you think could have made her career more famous or her more popular, you could say?
Between PR and mainly like the publicity, because a lot of artists, what helps and hurts a lot of artists, and this was the case with her in my opinion, she wasn't big with doing, like if she did tours, I may not have known about it or heard about it, but she didn't really, she kind of was just like, all right, I'm working on an album, I'm kind of gonna chill, you may hear about it, you may not, and that was it. So okay, that's how I looked at it. I mean, it could have been other factors, but if the first thing that I think of, it was
she didn't put herself out there.
It wasn't really much exposure because coming to a current artist, I'm not sure if I've done her as an artist spotlight. I may, since I'm mentioning it now. Marsha Ambrosia, she was with Flowetry. It's a coincidental fact because Flowetry is a group, great group. Flowetry, when they split, it was a unique circumstance because Marsha Ambrosia out there, she's known marketing. You hear about her. Albums were good. She had good music. Then it was her cohort, the Flowesses. She had an album that released that a lot of people didn't even know released. So it's just that it's like that backing and who gets you out there.
Yeah.
Speaking of backing, speaking of PR, speaking of attention, I feel like we're almost going to turn this into the LaVar fail show or the LaVar fail section. I have an honorable mention. We'll go into him later because folks just don't learn if other people did it wrong and you need to not do it the dumb way that they did it. But we have
the LaVar of the week.
The LaVar of the week. And if y'all have made it this far, I know it's an hour and 45, but these, like I said, the sports talk was going to be heavy because we had a lot of basketball and a lot of football things to cover because Kyrie still don't know what he want to do, and hopefully Kaepernick gets the job. But one guy who always will get attention is LaVar Ball, regardless of what he does or doesn't do. So I'm normally not good with taking away things or giving things because I'm selfish. But I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about this story.
So with this, there's a lot of different avenues we can go down on this one.
We're going to ride. Yeah, we're going to ride the wave.
I'm trying to think of which one here to go down since we have like 4 links of different things to talk about. So because he's been so crazy with what he said. So let's talk about like what his back and forth with. You can say Michael Jordan or Charles Barkley when he went after a few people with that TMZ, the TMZ video that he had. Yeah. How he said a comment about how he could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one back in his heyday. Right. Michael Jordan. Someone asked him because Michael Jordan was at a kid's camp. They asked him the question. Michael Jordan. He was like, that doesn't deserve a response. However, since you asked the question, I'll go ahead and answer the question. Right. He averaged 2.2 points in college or something of that
Washington
nature.
State, yep.
And then he's like, I'd beat him. I'd beat him with one leg. Right. Pretty much. I'd beat him with one leg. Like, it's just that simple. Yeah. And then LaVar Ball, of course, had to comment back because, he always wants the last word. Yep. He said, he's like, it's just entertainment. So I'll beat him with. He said I'll beat him with one arm, with glasses on, one lens out, and with flip flops on, and in the rain. Right. And then they asked him about Shaq's diss track against him. Yeah. Go ahead. You riding? I'm chilling. He said Shaq. He said Shaq's too old for that. He said if Shaq wants to join the big baller producers or something like that, production. We're looking for younger talent. Oh God. He said something of that nature, and then he commented. They asked him about Charles Barkley saying how the Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs, which is it's a valid statement to say. Yeah. Definitely. He said he doesn't know what he's talking about. He said they're making the playoffs guaranteed. LeBron should come play with Lonzo if he wants to win championships. Oh, he's like, there's no way Lonzo. He's like, there's no way they win a championship if you give him the best player in the NBA. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a valid statement if he were to happen. So he had a lot to say with that, and then he also had the other comment that you had sent me recently, when he said he said that there's no Gronkowski can't hang with me back in my heyday. That's verbatim. Legit. That's verbatim what he said. Right. And for context, LaVar Ball played on the practice squad for a couple teams, and then ended up playing over like in London or something of that nature, European Football League.
I didn't even know.
And was a backup for like Montreal or something of that nature.
Okay.
And the tight end who started above him, he said, well, if he had more opportunities, he possibly could have made something of it. The cornerback who was on that team, though, said pretty much he was garbage. Basketball players are most athletic players. Mm-hmm. He was kind of athletic, but let's just say his kids are better than him.
That's not even up for debate, it's the truth on so many levels.
So he's trying to kind of make it nice at the end. However, he did say that he was garbage.
Yeah.
And just by the fact that he never played anything professionally, really, like a real game. He played London football over there, so professional to some degree.
Right.
However, he was a backup over there, so
yeah.
Beating Gronkowski, the best tight end in the game right now when he's healthy.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
He does know how to create attention though.
Oh yeah.
Create a spotlight for his. However, I think it might be going
too far.
There's a line.
I don't think he's ever going to find a note at that line. Number one, he doesn't realize that line exists. I don't think he cares that the line exists. That's just my personal perspective.
Definitely. By this time, if you haven't realized that, yeah, definitely.
I feel as though, and it just like you said, it was a lot. Him beating Jordan thing, they happened to pull a video when they showed LaVar Ball actually playing basketball.
Oof.
That was the hardest thing to watch. You see,
it looked like he was out there with one arm, with glasses on and flip flops in the rain.
He looked like he was literally gassed at every. I think he shot an air ball at one point.
He ran. He threw it off the backboard.
Yeah, I was like, "What are you doing?"
He had shorts that looked like capris on.
Yeah, and I get it. Like it's some of it's all in fun and it's entertainment, but some of it, a lot of it, he really believes. Now, if it's just all talk, then okay, I'll go with it. But if you really sit here and think you can beat Jordan, like Jordan's like 50, if I'm not mistaken, he's in his 50s.
Yeah, he can't beat Jordan. He couldn't beat Jordan when he was in his heyday, and when how Jordan is right now.
Right.
Say if LaVar was in his heyday right now.
Yeah, if LaVar Ball was in his quote unquote prime at 2.2 points a game, playing against Jordan. At his age now, I think Jordan would still...
Jordan would smoke him. It'd be 11-0. Without question. Especially him talking this much.
Yeah.
Jordan was the type of player that you don't... Like, players
Jordan
would be scared to look in his eyes during the game.
Yeah, Jordan loved competition. And Jordan is a competitive player. I think... And I get it. Like, LaVar has that competitive edge. And I think that's why... his son... That's why Lonzo will be fine. Lonzo will do well as a player. Because Lonzo has confidence in himself.
The thing that affects me though is like I understand that I think he'll do well as well too.
Mm-hmm.
However, it may affect people wanting to play with him though, just based on how much LaVar talks.
Yeah, because it would be an interesting scenario if LeBron were to go to LA and you literally like a couple months ago was like,
talking about his sons.
Yeah, like because I mean like literally everyone. Lonzo's gonna, and John Wall did this as a video months ago. Everyone's gonna come at LaVar, at Lonzo in every game. At each point guard.
Based off of what LaVar said.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox did it in March Madness because of
the media.
Because LaVar said how Lonzo's gonna be a better player.
Yeah.
He should be the top pick. They already played once already, that says enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then De'Aaron Fox came out and dropped 39 on him.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox is I think De'Aaron, for whatever reason, like between De'Aaron Fox. Oh, and before we continue, I am proud of myself because I did admit that Dennis Smith is going to be a force because he had a pretty good summer league. But we'll see. I know it's summer league, so we got to see how regular season when he actually plays against. Because I was like, oh, he actually did some work. But I mean, a lot of people don't play defense, so that's whatever. All right, so. Since we're talking about LaVar, and I want to mention this because it is a sidebar, and I know, like, that's why I love my new format with the podcast. We can record for 3 hours, but hopefully we won't be past 3 hours. We're at the 152, by the way, but we have seen we saw the matchup that everybody wanted to see, which was between LaMelo and Zion, and they actually. Ironically enough, they showed it as a live feed on Facebook. So a lot of people watched it. They showed like the box score. It was a lot of...
LeBron actually showed up to the game in his car, but he couldn't make it into the game because it
was packed.
Yeah,
it was that many people in there. They said it was a lot of.
They were about to stop the game because there were that many people in there. They were about to just not have the game.
Mm-hmm. And it was I mean, for most of it that I watched, it was a decent game. Like you could tell, yeah, you can tell, and you can tell. I feel like Zion and LaMelo respect each other.
Yeah.
Even though, and they're in different classes. Like Zion did like a video where he was talking about. He said Lonzo. He felt like Lonzo's cold. He said Lonzo can play.
Yeah.
He also mentioned it as he has respect for Marvin Bagley because he's looking at it as Marvin Bagley is number one. He's number two. He's like, I'm just glad to be ranked. Like, it ain't about because you're ranked. Just the truth of it is, you could be the number one ranked player in high school, and we never hear about you again. And it's happened on numerous occasions.
That is true.
With a lot of players. So I'll ask you this because I don't know if we talked about this, and I didn't mention this, and I didn't put a tab for it. Do you feel as though AAU basketball helps kids when it comes to development and when it comes to preparing them for like competitive, like when you go into like between high school, college, pros?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The fact that the basketball, they're playing it year round, younger and younger now,
mm-hmm.
and they're playing it a lot. And AAU ball, you're playing against good players, so you're knowing these players and playing against good players.
Mm-hmm.
I think yes, because as I just said, you're playing a lot, so you're playing more. The more you play, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
However, sometimes they're playing they can play like 80 games within 2 months, so that's a lot of games and a lot of wear and tear on young kids, as well as you're not really practicing throughout that time as well too. It's kind of like just go out there, play pickup ball, and just go out there and score buckets.
Yeah.
So at that point, that's where it's kind of like they're losing some of the fundamentals throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
However, you are playing it more and more, so you are getting more of a feel for the game. You know what I mean? Right. So their basketball IQ is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that like their defense is kind of waning as well too, and some of them playing, you could say, hero ball, or they're not playing actual.
Yeah, because it's not really like statistically, you're just trying to get your points, and it's not much worry of like you won't see LaMelo have like a triple double. I mean, not a triple double, but like a double double as far as like assists. It's very few times I've seen him like have a lot of assists in games, or I guess it's how it's accounted for in their box score.
So actually, one thing that we did miss with our LaVar of the week was the game that he had where he did get ejected one game, and he left, and actually not ejected, he forfeited the game, and they walked off the court. His team walked off the court.
Glad you said it.
And then later on, they had another game where there was a female referee and a male referee.
Yep.
Him and the female referee have some tension between the two.
Yeah.
And she gives him a technical. He's not willing to accept the technical, and he says like, "Get her out of here." Like pretty much gives Adidas, because they're in an Adidas tournament.
Yep.
Gives him an ultimatum like either Big Ball Brands out of here, which is his team. Or the referees out of here. For some reason, Adidas sided with him. They're stating that it was their own choice. However, they removed the referee from that game.
Yeah. And
then they continued on. However, they still gave LaVar that technical.
Right.
And then later on in the game, he ended up getting ejected from that game.
So it defeated the whole purpose anyway.
However, he didn't want to leave the bench, so he stayed on the bench. And since he wasn't leaving the bench, they had to go ahead and say, if you're not going to leave the area, this game's over, your team forfeits.
So, of course, the team ended up forfeiting. Yeah.
So this is the second time now that he's done that. And then after the game, he talks a little bit about the female referee, about how she wants to, how she kind of wants to like show him up, I guess, or show that she's a big boss and whatnot. And then at the end of it, he ends it with the "stay in your lane."
Stay in your lane reference again. Like we haven't gotten enough of that. Like what? Why?
And this one's different than the first time. With I believe, I forget what her name is, Christine or Christy.
Yeah, Christine Lee or something like that. I think. Yeah.
Because this one, the referee didn't do anything to you. Like you got referees from probably like 4 different referees throughout that weekend. I'm pretty sure. So
right.
Like
I feel like he kind of respected her, but didn't respect her as far as her role of being a referee. And what's not factored in is it ain't like this her first time refereeing games.
Yeah.
She referees numerous games. They talked about like her background as a referee. She's refereed for quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. It may not be in this story, but I know I read something about the refereeing portion of it. But what's interesting about it is that they actually just went ahead and ended the game because it was just stupid. The reason I gave the AAU story, I'm gonna come back to the referee story, but I'm gonna tell you why I talked about the AAU story, because I wish we had did a podcast when this was coming. Like we had did one together because it was like Jared Dudley had some input to get fans, give people a better perspective of where, just like you said, the AAU game is helpful because you are playing consistently, but because you're playing so long, when you come into college or let alone the NBA, you already got wear and tear on your body, and you already got years. You got years that are added that you don't know are accounted for when you go. And then two, a lot of the guys who are dominant in AAU, like it was one guy who played against Compton Magic. They had a rematch, and I think the first time they played against each other, the guy was like, "Yeah, you can meet me in the back, blah, 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 whatever." They played against each other. The second time, it was respect, but it was still had a competition. But Compton Magic just dominated the game. The guy who was putting the work against them, we may never see him again.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say it that abruptly, but it's just how the game is. Going back to this story though, it's like LaVar is a unique specimen when it comes to being a coach. Because I find it funny that he's able to coach them the way that he does. I mean, when it comes to them playing, they play pretty good. I mean, there's a true definition of small ball when it comes to watching them play. Because they have no true center. Like, their big man is not, like, seeing him against Zion was like watching watching Bobo play against Muggsy Bogues, literally. Like, that's...
In the context, Bobo's 7'2".
Yeah. I mean, it was that much of a height. Because, I mean, Zion, like, when Zion was standing... Zion's 6'7", and I think their big man might be 6'2". I wouldn't even say that. And that it's like he's literally short. I mean, and you look at from the guy they had Ogunke. I'm probably mispronouncing his name.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, on the high school team.
Yeah, he's on the high school team who's with Compton Magic. He's like
6'9".
Yeah, 6'9". So I mean, you look at that comparison, that tells you a lot. So. The referee story, I feel as though LaVar is just... I mean, their team plays good, but it's like...
You can't... I don't believe you can be a leader of boys or of young men, you could say.
Yeah.
And want to, like... You've made this analogy before, like the kid who's mad and grabs
the ball and go home.
That's pretty much what he did. He took his ball and went home. Like you can't be leading young men and just tell them like when things aren't going your way, you just pack your stuff up and go home.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's played any type of sport with refereeing has had calls go against them. Calls that didn't go their way that like that call should have went your way.
Yeah.
However, that's just the way of the game. You know.
Right.
Things aren't always fair. You know.
I agree. I mean, it's very impossible to watch a perfect refereed game.
Definitely.
It's very, like, you can have 12 referees on the field. They're not going to see every single call. And then it's even worse when you're in, like, I've mentioned it on circumstances where I've had to sit and be, like, one referee. And I'm trying to watch everything, like, 3 seconds, 3-point line, if you stepped out of bounds, the ball went out of bounds. Like, I have to sit there and see all of those things. Like, that's not easy to do.
And these referees, I'm pretty sure, like, they're trying to referee maybe to try to do better things, maybe with refereeing or something like that.
Yeah.
They're not over here trying to fix and rig games. Like,
yeah, like this I mean, someone gave me it was, and I don't know if they gave, it was I think it was Eddie House. He was talking about, like, the breakdown in numbers for AAU. It's a lot of money involved. Like, it's a lot of money when it comes to, like, where the kids don't see a dime of it, but when it comes to, like,
they have to pay some of it too.
Yeah.
Not them, or the team has to pay for it.
Yeah, because, like, I think it's so much per player. Then you have to pay to play in these tournaments.
Yeah.
And then, you know, even if you win, you may get a trophy, but it's like, all right, yay, we got a trophy. Like, the sponsorship, you don't, because, I mean, now I will say this, and I'm gonna, because I know we'll hit this topic heavy. I feel as though them doing what they're doing with Adidas might be an in or a way of trying to possibly get Lonzo to sign with Adidas. I don't know.
I believe I read an article that said that.
Because he's
that's
still
the reason why they're trying to keep him in the tournament is because they want to sign Lonzo.
Yeah, because I mean, I think they know Baller Brand was a ploy. I'm gonna say it because I mean I've seen, you know, Lonzo played in his shoes. He may play in them during the season. That's fine. Whatever. I mean, he can play in any. He can play, technically speaking, because he doesn't have a shoe deal. He can play in any shoes that he wants to. So that's why during the summer league, He wore the Kobe's. He wore the James Hardens. He wore different shoes.
Like he's having to pay for these shoes, though.
Right. And I mean, but see, now the advantage is by him being in the NBA, you can afford them. Like when you were and I might be looking at this different, but I want to make sure that I'm correct in what I'm about to say. When you're in high school, in college it doesn't really occur, but in high school, majority of those, like you go to all those camps like Under Armour, Nike, Adidas, they're giving you shoes to just playing. So like some guys, I remember I watched, like if you watch a Josh Jackson highlight, Josh Jackson had like 15 pairs of shoes because he done played in all these different leagues. So you got different shoes you can wear for different occasions.
That's true.
So I'm at the 2-hour mark and I cannot believe it. But this might be the longest podcast because we haven't recorded together in a while. So it's not even about condensing it. It was just a lot of stuff to talk about. So the last story I have, or that we have, is I guess when people don't understand things going on around them, that they decide to do the same situation. And the Fox News host Eric Bolling, who is a longtime host with Fox News, decided to send a nice little picture photo as the young folks call it, sexting, of his male genitalia. He sent his private parts to 2 colleagues at Fox Business, and one of them was to a colleague at Fox News.
And
I'm gonna let you. You like, wait, I got it.
There's a couple things with him, and then his lawyer, his attorney, says how Mr. Bolling recalls no such inappropriate communications. Recalls no such. So that part just gets me. Recalls no such. Okay.
Yeah.
Does not believe. So does he? So he doesn't believe he sent any such communications, and will vigorously pursue his legal remedies for any false or defamatory accusations that are made.
Right.
He's also one of those people who throws stones at glass houses, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
By earlier in 2014 against Anthony Weiner. He kind of went at him because he had actually this same kind of situation where he had a scandal of sexting several women as well too.
Right.
And he went at him and said some things to him about how he's a sick human being to continue to do this time and time again, continue to get caught, saying he's not going to do it again, then gets caught again. That's really nice of you to say back then, and however you're doing the same thing now. You're in the
same position, yeah.
And he's also said remarks previously in the past when he's on Fox. He was on The Five.
Right.
And he made a remark about there was the first woman buyer pilot from the United Arab Emirates or Emirates.
Yeah.
There's a saying, the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
He said, or it should be more appropriate to say the boobs on the ground. And maybe he thought that was a joke. However, that wasn't a funny one.
That was a bad joke.
Yeah, definitely. So he's definitely just done some things that are questionable. He's became more famous in the last couple of years just because of his association with the president now.
Right. Yeah. Because I have to always catch myself when I get wordy with things like this. O'Reilly already went through Idiocracy and Stupidity.
It was before him, actually. Robert Ailes first.
Yeah, Robert Ailes. Yes, I mean you have all these Ailes resigned. With his situation. Gretchen Carlson filed a lawsuit of sexual harassment. O'Reilly had multiple sexual harassment. Huh?
Roger Ailes. I said that
Roger.
first name wrong.
Okay, now you good. No problem. So it just it's like you're sitting here now, and like you said, the fact that you try to deny it like you didn't do it is like, okay, so this person
and half-heartedly too, saying he does not believe, does not recall,
has no recollection of such. I wouldn't do such a thing. That is not who I am or how I function.
Saying like maybe saying I did not do this, nor would I have ever done something.
Such a thing. Yeah, I wouldn't be caught in this predicament. Okay, if that's how you feel, then you're welcome to look at it as such.
But my thing is like, if you didn't do it, come out and say you didn't do it. Don't say I don't recall, I don't remember.
Don't come with another story that don't even add up or make sense. It was just bad timing. So I'll have that link shared. I'll have all the other links shared. There's other stories that I do have that I definitely, if I have any links that I need to add, I'll put those in. Thanks for tuning in. I know this was a long podcast. We will do better. We always say that, and this one was the exception because we hadn't collabed in a while, and I knew some of the stories were gonna be definite ones because initially we weren't gonna do Kyrie. It was beneficial to do Kyrie because we just can kind of see what's gonna happen next because we are kind of sitting on the edge of our seats. What's the next story? What's the next move? So, any final thoughts before we?
Yeah, if you stuck with us this whole time, you the real MVP.
You the real MVP, and not Kevin Durant since he left Westbrook. Hopefully, so all right. This will be all right. So I'm gonna do this as a motivational yet closing remark, and this is something that, and I'm saying this to Dimitri is transparent because we shoot the breeze about a lot of stuff. If someone is helping you out, or someone is beneficial in helping you to get to where you are and what you're doing, don't take it for granted. And I saying it as referring to the Kyrie LeBron situation with us. Yeah, I've done my podcast, and yeah, I've sat and talked in front of the mic. Yeah, it's been an easy flow. Most episodes have gone great for me. It hasn't been, it's been hit or miss. But I give Dimitri credit because he's been patient with me, and vice versa. Like, we work through everything, and it's it's a process, and it just comes together because now we can sit here and. It's literally like I tell people when I tell people about this with podcasting is basically, all right, we talking about something, blah 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 blah. Oh, let's put a mic in the middle of it and let's talk about it. Like the mic's not there, and that's pretty much what happens. And our shows have been like since having you join has helped me a lot because it's taught me like, all right, let me make sure. Like, and I've said this on shows before, like, all right, let me make sure I'm reading because I put the story, but I didn't know what was going on. So that's helped out a lot. So I appreciate it. I don't look at you as 1A, 1B. Like, trust me, it's a definitely co-op process. So
don't got no Batman.
Robin. No Batman Robin. Like I'm. It's like, look, we both stars. I'm not trying to because I'm willing to be honest enough in saying I can share the spotlight. Like, I feel like that's what helps make the show easy. Like when you sit and like. It's my show, and it's not really my show because I can sit here and if I don't do the show, then if I've done shows by myself and I'll be like, I'll put it like this and then I'll close. I've done show like this format with everything we had today. It probably would have been less than an hour. Me doing it by myself because I literally would have talked about something. Well, yeah, he would have said that, but he's not here, so I'm just going to blah, 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 and then I got to go into the next topic. So having someone to kind of bounce ideas and talk about it with helps out a lot. So that's why it's valued and appreciated. So thank you always. Thanks for helping. Keep helping me become better with doing this because trust me, it's not easy. And I know it's been like new for you because you've been learning right along with me on different things. So thank you for that. And I'm going to close out on that note. That's my words for everyone today. Value people who are around you because you don't know when they can help you or when you can help them. It's always just like paying it forward. Like I tell everyone that's prospecting, looking to do podcasts, and if you really are into it and serious about it, I don't mind helping, but I'm also going to be honest with you too. So that's what I'm going to close out with. I hope y'all have enjoyed the rest of y'all day. I'm going to go and do some editing now because I got a lot to listen to. But luckily I can speed listen, so that helps out. But until next time,
we'll do better next time.
You know it. Take care. Another episode complete. Another show shared. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you checking out any current shows or previous episodes. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can look me up on the Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter under Past Podcast. If you'd like to go to the website, it is available at pastpodcast.com, where you can listen to this episode as well as previous episodes. Until next time, y'all take it easy.